What's up guys? In today's video I'm going to teach you and I'm going to show you how to send data to the bot that we did in the previous video. So how do we do this? First of all, let's see if I don't forget. Here you have my GitHub. You come here to Kikoma1, then you click on AI Trading Bot, and here you have the code of this project. You can come here to this folder, and indeed in this video we are going to implement this code, the AI client. So all this code is what we are going to do. Here remember that you have lots of comments, so you can see what I'm doing and it's better explained. So yeah, whatever. So what is the first thing that we have to do? Open MetaTrader 5. We open the program and now we go to the IDE. So here we need to create a new expert advisor. So we click here on new expert advisor. Let's give it a name, AI client. Next, and we don't click anything else. We delete everything and we are ready to go. So remember that this bot was using the standard deviation and the RSI. And this is very similar to what we did in the first video, in which we were taking information. Indeed, we are going to do a lot of similar things. So yeah, what is the first thing that we have to do? Since we are going to use those two indicators, it will be nice to have first the handlers. So for example, std, like this, and then another handler for the RSI. Perfect. And now we need arrays to store all that information. So here, this is going to be one array, and this is going to be another array. Why am I declaring this as a double? Because we are going to store decimal numbers. So that's why I'm declaring this as a double. Also, we are going to use candles. We need to load candles. And for this, we are going to have an MQL rates array. So we are going to call this candles. And okay, we are ready to start doing things in the onInit function. So here is the same as always. We need to load these indicators. First, the first one, the RSI. So for example, let's say that the handler of the RSI is going to be equal to IRSI, and okay, it is asking us for the symbol. This is how we get the current symbol of the chart. With this, we get the current period of the chart. Then how many, which is going to be the period of the RSI. For example, we are using 14, so that's what we are going to put here. And we apply this to the price close. Perfect. So now we also need the standard deviation. And for this, we are going to do the following. std def, and again, the symbol name, the current one, the current period. Which is the period of the standard deviation? If I'm not wrong, is 20. Let me check. For example, this is the one of the first video. And here on init, we were doing the same. Look, 20. So 20 is the period. Then we don't have any shift. The mode is the simple moving average. Yeah, it's that. Perfect. And it is applied to the price close. Perfect. So now we have this. Okay, do we need to do something to this? Yeah, indeed, we also need to initialize these three arrays. So how? We are going to set them as series with the function array set as series. We send the RSI and then we send here true, and this is the same for the other two. So here we are going to put, okay, here instead of RSI we put std, and instead of std, well, RSI, we are going to put candles. So now we have initialized everything we need for the indicators. We have the RSI and the standard deviation. But remember, we need to send data, and for that we need to use sockets. So here we also have to initialize a socket. And how do we do this? It is very simple. We have to declare another handler, and this one is going to be called socket. Perfect. You can leave it like this. And here we are going to initialize it. How? Socket, and now you have to call the function socket create, and you don't send anything. Okay, so here we have the socket. You should check if there is an error or not, but in this video I'm not going to do that because we are going to lose time on that. But for example here, let me show you. Here well, indeed with this I also checked that, like, if this call was failed, like there was an error here, we stop the bot because then everything won't work. So here the same, if the socket was not created in a right way, we need to stop, we need to put here an error. But yeah, since we don't have a lot of time, I'm not going to put here errors. But once the socket is created, what we have to do now is to connect. So here we can do the socket connect. So we need to send first the socket, the handler. So here we put socket. Now the server, which is the direction to which we want to connect, and for this we are going to use an input. Yeah, no, if I'm not wrong, we are using an input string, and let's say address, and the address is going to be localhost at the beginning, and let's call this address. Perfect. We are also going to put here a port. So here we can put port, and the port is going to be the 8688. Perfect. And yeah, so here it was asking us for the server, and we have to put the address, then the port. Perfect. And for the timeout you can put any number you want, but take into account that, hey, for example, you cannot put here a 1 because these are milliseconds. So if you put here a 1 and you don't connect in 1 milliseconds, it is going to close. So for example, we can do this. So here we have 10 seconds. Perfect. So now we are connected, and basically in the onInit function we have finished. The next thing that we can do is the onTheInit. So when the bot closes, we need to do something. First of all, here we receive int reason, and what we need to do is that we need to close the socket, and remember, we send something, we send end connection. So what we are going to do here is that, first of all, you are going to create an array of chars, because to send things through sockets, you need to use this array of chars. And yeah, now in this array of chars, what we are going to do is that, okay, we are going to store in a variable the length of the message that we are going to send. So here what we are going to do is a string to char array, and then we are going to put here the message, which is going to be end connection, and here we are going to put this. I think it's not needed, but we are going to put it anyway. And here we are going to say that we are going to store it in this array. Perfect. So here we are going to subtract 1 because this sends like an additional number, and we are going to put here socket send, and we are going to send the socket, then the buffer, which is the message. So here we put rec, and then the length, which is the length that we have here. Perfect. And now after sending this end connection, we have to close the socket. How? Socket close, and we send the socket, which is the socket handler, and that's it. We have closed the socket correctly. But now we have to send the important data, the important things that we are going to do. So how do we do this? Void on tick. So we want that on every tick we are going to do something. And what is the thing that we are going to do? First of all, load the information about the RSI, the information about the standard deviation, and the information about the candles. So how do we do this? For the indicators, you just need to use the function copy buffer. You send first the handler, which is this one, the one we loaded here, RSIH, the buffer num, like this is something very important. Look, I think I already have explained this, but anyways, let me explain it again. So we are going to put here, for example, a MACD will be useful, and we are going to also put another indicator, which is, for example, the RS, well, a moving average, for example, whatever, yeah. So here, okay, ignore this volume, you have just here this moving average. So here we have two indicators, the moving average, and we have also the MACD. As you can see, the moving average just has one thing, one value, like it's not one value, but it has only one thing, which is this line. but in the MACD we have several things. And this is what buffer num refers. If you put here a 0 in an indicator that has just one element, you are going to take this element. But here, how do you know if you are going to take the MACD or the signal? You put here either a 0 or a 1, and if you have 3, you put a 0, a 1, or 2. If you have 4, a 0, a 1, a 2, or 3. But look, in order to check which is the buffer num, you, for example, call to this function, imacd, and you go to the help. And here inside the help, you have this node in which it says, okay, 0 is the main line and 1 is the signal line. And indeed, these are macros. So instead of 0, you can put a main line, and instead of 1, you can put signal line. So yeah, that's how you do that. Like, this is very confusing, so that's why I'm explaining it. Okay, so the buffer number is 0. Then the starting position is going to be 0 because we want all the candles. The 0 candle is this thing. So for example, if we go to the last candle, this is the candle 0, this is the candle 1, the candle 2, the candle 3, the candle 4, the candle, and so on. So we start from the candle 0. Now, how many candles? Remember that we are storing 10, and this number is very important. So indeed, what we are going to do is that we are going to put, let me put here, port. We are going to create an input variable for how many numbers do we want to store. Input int numbers to store. Well, it's not numbers to store. Let's give it another name. Let's give it a name of num data to save. Yeah, num data to save, and at the beginning it's going to be 10. And let's say number of data to save. Perfect. So now we need to save all that amount of data, and here we just put num data to save. Perfect. Then, where do we want to store this? We want to store it in the array of the RSI. And since we are using another indicator, which is the standard deviation, it is exactly the same, but instead of RSI, we are going to put here standard deviation, STD. And yeah, here instead of only these numbers, since we are taking the increments, remember that we need another one. So we are going to put here a +1. Perfect. So what is the next thing that we have to do? Okay, this was wrong. Okay, so now we need to store the candles, and for that we are going to use the function copy rates. So here we are going to use the current symbol, then the current period, and then the starting position 0, and then we are going to store num data to save, which are 10. And where do we want to store all the information? In the candles array. Perfect. Now we have all the information needed, but when do we send the data? Remember that our artificial intelligence is recognizing these booms, and it's saying, okay, do I have to open a position here? Do I have to open a position here? Do I have to open a position here? Check that out. We are only checking after a boom here, 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 only after the booms. So what we have to do is that, okay, if the previous is boom, okay, and we haven't sent any information, not sent, we are going to declare these two things later, we are going to send the data. So let's create first this function. Here we're going to put bool because we are going to return true or false, and if the previous is boom, we are going to do, okay, return. How do we check if the previous one is boom? We are just basically going to check if the candle is a bullish candle. If it is bullish, okay, so how do we check if it is bullish? Since we have this array of candles, we access to the previous one, to the last one, which is the 1, and here we say if the close is above the open of the previous candle, then it means that, yeah, we are in the previous one was a boom. So yeah, we return that, and here we need to declare also that variable, the variable sent. So we are going to declare it here, bool sent, and at the beginning it's going to be false because we have not sent anything. So yeah, now this is truly almost identical to to the data-gen bot. So here I'm actually going to take all this because we are going to actually send this data, and the way of computing that data is the same. So if you have not seen that, it is the first video of the series that I'm doing, but yeah. So here we have the string data, we have the information about the RSI, we have the information about the increment, and now we have all the information in this variable called data. So now what we can do is that we can say to the user, which are us, like we are the users, we are going to say, okay, information, info, sending RSI and std def. Perfect. Okay, so how do we send the data? Remember how did we do it here? In fact, we can take it and it is exactly the same. So let me, like this. Instead of sending end connection, we are going to send the data string, the string data. Perfect. And since now we have sent some things, we are going to put here send equal to true. But we need to do another thing, because you can see that, okay, this send is set to true, but when do we set this send to false? Because we need to put this send back to false. When do we do that? We need to create a timer, and let's do the following. Event set timer. In the next candle, we want that, this variable is again false. So what we are going to say is that, okay, give me the period seconds. This is going to give us 60 seconds because we are also, we are only going to use this in the 60 seconds time frame in the 1 minute chart. And okay, once this timer is here, what we can do is that, okay, on timer, we are going to create this event, this function event. And we are going to say, okay, once this is called, send is going to be equal to false. But one thing is that this timer, like once you set this timer, now every second, this function, every 60 seconds, this function is going to be executed. And we don't want that. We just want to be executed once after a boom. So what we do here is that, okay, event kill timer. That's it. We kill the timer. And in fact, I think we have finished. So what we can do is to test this. Let's compile. Okay, no errors. And here, in order to test this, since I'm not going to be waiting for booms, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to comment this and I'm going to put here true. Perfect. So now we are always going to send information. So what we have to do now is to test it. And how do we test it? First of all, we have to open the bot. So let me do that. Okay, so we are here in the project, in the bot, and what we are going to do, let me remove all this annoying stuff. What we are going to do is that, okay, we are going to open a terminal, and let me open another one with the conda. Okay, so now we have this with conda, and what we are going to do is like in the previous video, Python main py. Okay, now this is waiting for the bot to here send data. So here, up here, we should have the AI client. This information is okay, accept. And now let's check if we are receiving things. So this has been connected, but apparently we have not received anything. Okay, it's not that we haven't received anything, it's just that now I don't have any print here. But indeed, we could go, let me go back here. We could go here and look. This is saying like, hey, sending a standard RSI and a standard deviation. But anyways, what we are going to do is to print all this information. Print data like this. And okay, let's stop the bot. Let's stop here this as well. And let's try it again. So Python main.py, okay. I'm very used to move through I don't know the name in English, escritorios. So we load this, and okay, this is sending information. Let's check if now, we are printing the information and we are receiving what we want. So guys, this is how you create that client to send information. As you can see, it's truly very easy. So remember that you have the GitHub with more comments, and indeed there is a mistake here, I have to correct it. But yeah, so if you enjoyed the video, give it a like, share, subscribe, and see you in the next one.